Welcome back to Top Cheddar Sports, and welcome to bright and sunny Florida, as we are going to discuss the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers today. Good to be back for some NHL hockey. These two teams I'm excited to talk about for a lot of reasons. One's coming off a historic season. The other is the Florida Panthers. And let's get right into it. So let's start with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So the Tampa Bay Lightning I have as trending steady, and I was debating saying they're trending down because how can you really top 62 wins? And they're not going to have 62 wins again this year. That I can promise you. So you would think, yeah, they're trending down, but also first round exit, I think they'll do better than that this year. So I have them as trending steady. So let's look at what they did. Really, the Lightning, I touched on the JT Miller trade where they got a draft pick for that. So we don't really need to get into that. They still need to obviously sign Braden Point. He's still a restricted free agent, but just focusing on what they brought in. Curtis McElhinney. Now this is interesting because both are NHL players. Neither should play in the AHL. And then obviously you have your Vezina winner, Andrei Vasilevskiy, as your starter. So I like them getting insurance in case Vasilevskiy gets hurt, because he has gotten hurt in the past. These guys both have experience, so maybe, I'm not blaming Vasilevskiy for the loss of the Blue Jackets, but maybe they want to have a guy with some playoff experience for the playoffs in case things start going bad again. You can turn to him. So I like both those signings. I'm interested to see who wins that backup job out of training camp preseason here, because again, neither guy belongs in the AHL, so that's something to watch for with them. And then defensively, they brought in Luke Schenn and Kevin Shattenkirk. They lost Anton Strawman to the Florida Panthers.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Oh, how the tables turn. I really like Kevin Shattenkirk signing with the Lightning. This is a guy who was an absolute stud in St. Louis. Kind of lost his way a little bit in recent years when he went to the Rangers and whatnot. I think he's going to find his game again. I'd love to see him play alongside a guy like Slater Cuckoo or Victor Hedman, but we'll see kind of where they play him. But ultimately, I do really love the fit in Tampa for him. Good puck-moving defenseman. I think he can focus more on the offensive game than the defensive game for him, which when he played in New York, he had to focus more playing defense. Wasn't allowed to join the rush as much at like his years in St. Louis when he was one of the better defensemen in the league, even. So I think he'll find his form again. Luke Schenn is a guy who you can throw out on the ice and maybe he'll block a few shots. So that's good there too. So ultimately, I have Tampa finishing first in the Atlantic again. They're bringing back almost the same squad. I don't see them not finishing first. I think they have a little bit to prove this year too. Again, they're not going to have 62 wins. They'll be a much more down-to-earth team. But they're still going to win the division in my mind. They're just far too talented not to. That brings us to the Florida Panthers. Now, the Florida Panthers, I've been saying Victor and Spencer can attest. I've probably been saying for like the past 3-4 years now that I like the Panthers. They're making the playoffs this year. This is the time. And I've looked like a fool every single year. But I'm going to say it again this year because I'm more confident in it this year than ever before. I have the Florida Panthers trending up, and I have the Florida Panthers, your Florida Panthers, in the playoffs this year, finishing 4th in the Atlantic Division, right above Montreal. I think they'll be the first wild card, and maybe they'll even make the second round. I like this team. So what they do, they bring in Jake Massey on defense, just a solid defenseman, might crack the starting lineup, we'll see. Anton Strawman, as I mentioned, with the turntables. He comes from Tampa to Florida. I like that. A veteran guy, veteran presence. You pair him with Ekblad, get Ekblad's game going again. Really, really like that signing. They bring in two great depth wingers in Noel Asiari from Boston and Brett Connolly, who's always just been a solid third-line winger. So they add a little bit of forward depth, and then they finally, ask yourselves, what has held the Florida Panthers back all these years? What is the one thing that they really lacked? Goaltending. Well, they signed Sergei Bobrovsky. 10 years, lock him up. I think that's way too long of a length, and I think they're way overpaying him, but you know what? They need a goalie, and they finally got one, so it's worth it. Sergei Bobrovsky, the former Vezina winner, very, very good goaltender, one of the best in the league, and that is why I'm so confident that they can finish fourth in this division and make the playoffs this year with Sergei Bobrovsky. Really, really like that signing for the short term. Again, it's going to bite them in the ass in the future, but for now, love it. Absolutely love it. And this is the year for the Panthers. They have one of the most underrated players in the league, this guy, Barkov. You still have Dadonov. You still have Huberdeau. You have Mike Hoffman for one more year. They have the talent. They have the talent. They have the team. They have the depth now. This is the year, Florida. For the love of God, make the playoffs. If you don't this year, I officially give up hope in this franchise. Just in general, I just give up all hope. So I have the Panthers fourth, the Lightning first. There's going to be a lot of playoff hockey in the state of Florida this year. A lot of playoff hockey. So that'll wrap up the two Florida teams. Tune in next week. We'll wrap up the Atlantic Division with the Boston Bruins, the Buffalo Sabres, and the Detroit Red Wings. Obviously, as you can tell, I have just one of those three teams making the playoffs. You could probably guess who. You might be surprised. You could probably guess who. Leave a like, leave a comment, smash that subscribe button. Let me know what you think about the Lightning and the Panthers. Will the Lightning bounce back from that epic collapse last year? Will the Panthers finally make the playoffs? Let me know what you think and where you think they will finish. And tune in tomorrow as Victor will once again tackle the NFL.